Greetings and welcome to Webinar 1. My name is Jeffrey Evans. This webinar is for those people who missed the original two versions and we were not able to get a recording, so I'm recording this not live. Automation tools. Automation tools, do they work? Many times I've heard people say that SE-Nuke doesn't work, and if you go back to 2008 and you bought SE-Nuke back then you could really take garbage and throw it at any website for somewhere between 10 and 30 days and it would rank. And today you can't do that. So if you mean, does it work the same as it did back in 2008? No, it doesn't. But you can't throw garbage at a website today, period, and get it to rank. Automation tools do just that. They automate. So if you give it good stuff, you get good stuff back. Garbage in, garbage out. How I teach. You do not need to be an engineer, but you do need to understand beyond memorization. I was involved in a course recently that was entirely push button. It said, you know, check this box, push that button, put this here, put that there, and there was no explanation as to the why. In SEO, you need to be a little bit nimble. You need to be able to adjust. You need to take what you know and apply it to something else. It's the fifth level of learning, and it's called correlation. The best example I can give you at the moment is I've recently purchased HydroVid 2.0. And there are ways that are being taught about HydroVid, but I rarely do anything exactly as it's put out. So I will take part of what I know and I will apply to the HydroVid strategy. In fact, I'm going to be testing that out and I'll let you know what happens. For those who come to webinars because they think there's going to be some special at the end, sorry, there's nothing for sale. This is 100% content. There are 8 terms you need to wrap your head around. Domain authority. This is on a scale of 1 to 100. It's made up of 40 plus factors, and the power is extended over the entire site. A good example of domain authority is YouTube. YouTube has a domain authority of 100, but when you put up a new video, that video has a page authority of 1. Page authority is scored on a scale of 1 to 100. There are multiple factors and they're isolated to that page. But page authority contributes to overall domain authority. Page rank. We've all heard of page rank. Page rank is on a scale of 0 to 10 and it's logarithmic. In other words, a PR2 is worth 10 times what a PR1 is. A PR3 is worth 10 times what a PR2 is. Theme. Theme is, what does Google believe the topic is about? And they determine this by words on a page. It basically came from a technology they bought when they came out with AdSense. They purchased it from someone else. But basically, they look at all the words on the page, and based on an algorithm, it determines what the theme of that page is about. Spam. There are 2 kinds of spam. Link spam and content spam. Link spam is any link coming to your site or even within the first 2 tiers outside of your site that are not topic related. Now, I say the first 2. You can actually send link spam to tier 2 at this point in time without too much risk. But tier 2 linking to tier 1 and tier 1 linking to the money site, those need to be on target content-wise. Content spam is basically garbage content that somebody wouldn't want to read. Trust factor. The further away you get from the authority, the lower the trust factor. So when you get out to, let's say, tier 4 and tier 5, it's less likely that that the links going to that site are going to be about what your site is about. And I provided in the PDF a document from Stanford University that explains how they calculate trust factor. You can go play with that if you like. Footprints. Footprints is anything you do the same way over and over again, or copying exactly what somebody else does over and over again. So let's say, as an example, that you are using SENuke or another automated tool, and you throw the same exact properties at something. Well, that's going to create a footprint. If you create all of your sites that are linking to your site the same way every time, that's going to create a footprint. If you join a private blog network and you're getting all the same backlinks that everybody else is getting, that is a footprint of backlinks. In this case, diversity is a good thing. Private blog network. The myth. Is it really private? The only truly private blog network is the one that you own, you control, you don't give links out to other people, and you don't tell your spouse about. Okay? Back in 2008, there was a tool on the internet. Anybody could go to this website, type in a website, and it would draw you a diagram, and it would show you all the sites that linked to that site and the sites that were linking to them, and you could drill right down on it. Now, for those people who think that private blog networks are difficult for Google to detect, my question to you is, do you believe that Yahoo in 2008 had more technology than Google does in 2015? I highly doubt it. All right. In addition to that, in my own scraping, say I'm scraping to use GScraper. Well, what I do is I take a list of what we call verified links. This is stuff that GScraper has been successful with. And I take that list and I go into Scrapebox and I say, okay, who else has links off of these sites? And then I take all of those links and I say, what other places do they link to? So if I can trace it down with simply using GSA and Scrapebox, don't you think that that Google has probably got it so they can see it visually on a great big board in beautiful color? Easy for them to evaluate. Domain authority stacking simplified. All right. So what domain authority stacking is where we're going to take the domain authority and we're going to put a high domain authority over another high domain authority, both on topic, and the closest one pointing to the money site. Now, the easiest way to explain this is my explanation for it. This isn't industry standard, right? But I describe it as A sites, B sites, and money sites. And the A sites are all of the Web 2.0s, as an example, that you can leave an article on of 500 words or more, okay? And the B sites are everything else. So as an example, Twitter, you can only have 140 characters. So Twitter would be a B site, and Blogger would be an A site. You'll notice in this diagram, and this diagram comes out of the PDF, except here, on all of these properties, I have designated the properties as A sites. Okay, so these are bloggers, these are live journals, these are WordPress.coms, these are Weebly's. And what this diagram illustrates is that every A site either points to another A site or points to the money site or both. A sites do not point to B sites. Okay, B sites can point to anything. You can use B sites and point to your money site, and you can point to A sites. There isn't a lot of point in pointing B sites to other B sites. All right, so as an example, There's no reason that you would bookmark a bookmark. There's nothing natural about that. There's no value in it. But you could bookmark every site that you see here, and that's going to help those sites and help the money site. Here's our definition again. The A sites are any site where you can publish a minimum of 500 words to. The B sites are all other sites, still on topic. So if you're going to do a status update, the status update should still be about that particular topic. A sites link to A sites and money sites only. B sites link to A sites and money sites. Mini networks. We want to do a little with a lot versus a lot with a little. So you want to take a lot of properties and do a little with each one, as opposed to putting all of your eggs into a very few baskets. This will also give you diversity. Which Web 2.0s? For the A sites, use DA60 and above. The higher the better, but remember diversity. Okay, so you don't want to turn around and say, well, golly gee whiz, I'm going to make everything a Tumblr because a Tumblr has a very high DA. All right? Mix it up. Good content. What is good content? Well, it's two things. One, it's read-worthy, and two, it contains the right keyword DNA. And we all know what read-worthy means. What the right keyword DNA is, here is how I derive it. I use a tool called Web Content Studio. And Web Content Studio will go to, in its default settings, it will go to the first 10 results in the SERPs. It will grab all the words off of that page, off of each of those 10 pages. And it will do a number of things. It will count how many times each word exists, etc. Then what I do is I take that entire list of words and I keep all of the industry terms. Everything that I believe is relevant to that industry I keep, and I discard the rest. Then I go through a boiling down process, also in Web Content Studio, where I'm asking myself, which of these words appear on 7 out of the top 10 pages? And I'll typically boil it down until I get a list of about 35 words. And these 35 words are going to make up my keyword DNA. Now, I've been using Web Content Studio since 2010. I checked the other day. And for the last couple of years, the creator, Dr. Andy, has been doing an experiment, but I realized I've effectively been doing the same experiment since back in 2010. And what it is you look at the top 10 results, you boil down the keywords, and then you say, all right, what percentage of these keywords appear on each of these pages? And it's, in the past, it's typically been about 85% will end up, 85% of that group of 35 words will end up on each of those pages in the top 10. When you got to results 100 through 500, that number would go down to about 65% of those 35 words. Well, in this year's experiment that Dr. Andy did, what he found was that the differences were no longer that 20% gap. The differences looked more like a 2 to 3% gap. So let me see if I can demonstrate something for you here. I'm not going to show you how to use Web Content Studio in this webinar, but what I am going to do, if I can get to my page here, okay. Okay, so here we are on a Google search page, and this is an observation I made. I went and checked this because I suspected what I was going to find when I saw Dr. Andy's results. there is a term called the omitted results, and the way you find them is you go like this. You go, I'm going to put a term in here, internet marketing. And you let your search results come up, and I have my searches set for 100 results per page. And you really need that to kind of do this, otherwise you drive yourself crazy. Go down to the very bottom and click on the 10th page, or whatever the last page it shows is, and then scroll down to the bottom again, and you're going to get this number right here. Now, it'll vary a little bit, but this number right here says, and it would be very hard to see, says 610. What it says is, in order to show you the most relevant results, we have omitted some entries very similar to the 610 already displayed. If you like, you can repeat the search with the omitted results included. Now, what this 610 is, this is the results that are in the main index. Everything else is in what we call the supplemental index. And so that's why when you look up here, it says there are 344 million results. But in the main index, we're only showing 610. Now, about a week ago, that was down to 560. So this will vary a little bit. Here's the interesting point. Internet marketing is incredibly competitive, and that figure has always been up close to the maximum, which is 1,000. All right. What this tells me, and the fact that the percentages have changed to where there's only a 2 or 3% difference between the ones in the top 10 and the ones in the rest of the main index, is that Google has shrunk the main index on a keyword basis. Now, if you want to rank in the main index, you're really going to have to match that keyword DNA. And if you don't, you're going to end up in the supplemental. And ranking from the supplemental it's not possible. All right? So, something to bear in mind content-wise. Now that we've discussed the right keyword DNA, content relevancy. I use this as a theoretical guess, but it makes sense. We're talking about the relevancy of the content that you're getting the link from. Now, we've all heard that if you silo a site, you can rank your site with up to 90% less backlinks. Well, that's because all internal linking counts as a legitimate link, and all internal linking is going to be relevant. Everything in that silo is relevant to the topic. So, an easy way to look at it is if you looked at it as at the multiple as a percentage, 10% or 100%. So if your link is coming from a site that's not relevant, you're going to get 10% of the credit. 10% of the juice. If your link is coming from a site that is relevant, then you're going to get 100% of the juice. All right? And this would explain why you can rank with 90% less backlinks. When we do our domain authority stacking, we put everything in relevant content because we want 100% of that credit. This is also why you could turn around and say you're going after just a video itself, and you fire up GSA, and you're going to throw thousands upon thousands of garbage links at it. Well, I have actually seen videos not move with 22,000 garbage links thrown at it because the links weren't relevant and they were counting very, very little. All right, we've already talked about how to get the right DNA. Future webinar topics. 3 ways to increase authority, recovering PR tumblers, RSS authority jacking, 301ing to blogger sites, content creation and management, what tools, how to use them, and repurposing, how to write a 200-page book in less than 4 hours, using IFTTT to keep Web 2.0s in play. We created many networks, but we don't want to have to babysit them. So we use IFTTT to keep them alive. If you have a Web 2.0 property and you don't do anything with it, conventional wisdom says in about 45 days, Google is going to drop it. And then maximum automation. Create it once and then make the beast feed itself. I'm about to make an announcement on some testing we're going to do with the HydraVid 2, combining it with a good content strategy and SendWire. And since I'm on the topic, let me show you one of the things that I really like about SendWire. Log in here. When we're doing our promotion for our domain authority stacking, SendWire has 3 different ways it publishes. It publishes status updates, it publishes bookmarks, and it publishes blog posts. Now, if I'm doing a status update, these are all B sites, okay? And so I know if I'm doing a status update, I can point these at the A sites. The A sites are those that are blog posts. Now, it doesn't have all of them, but it has a number of them. It has WordPress.com, it has Blogger, LiveJournal, Blog.com, Tumblr, Skyrock, Joomla, and if you have self-hosted WordPress. All right. I'm not suggesting that you use a self-hosted WordPress site as an example of tier 1 unless it has significant domain authority. It kind of defeats the purpose of what we're going for here. And then of course the bookmarks are also B sites. So here's all the B's, status updates are B's, and the blog posts are A's. So as I create campaigns to group things together, this makes it very easy. If you have any questions, put them in the Concierge Outsourcing Facebook group, and I'll be happy to get to them. Thanks for watching.